creating a better day for the legends of the road with the non-slip van floors, protective interior liners, and full range of work van accessories. Trusted by major OEMs and fleets all across North America and Europe.
Welcome back to another episode of Fleet Legends, where industry wisdom meets real-world grit. The fleet industry is always evolving, but one thing that stays the same, nothing beats experience. In this series, sponsored by Legend Fleet, we're shining a light on the fleet professionals who've steered through it all. These are the trailblazers, the problem solvers, the faces you've seen on show floors and interviews who've helped shape the fleet landscape that we know today. I'm Lauren Fletcher, and I'm honored to be your host for today's interview. After years of reporting on fleet trends and technologies, I've learned the most valuable insights always come from those who've lived it firsthand. So today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Lisa Kneggs, a true fleet legend whose story is packed with the kind of lessons you just don't find in a manual. So Lisa, let's roll it back to the beginning. What brought you into the world of fleet, and how did that journey lead to where you are today?
Well, going back many years, I started out in fleet with Pizza Hut headquarters in Dallas. Started out as a temp in HR. And about 6 weeks later, they came to me and said, "Oh, you're going to do fleet." What? I had no idea. So luckily I was a car person, so it didn't throw me too much. So that's where I got into it. I fell into it by accident, just like 99% of fleet managers across the industry. That was a sedan fleet. I did that. Gosh, I was there probably 12 years. And after I had Pizza Hut, I took in Taco Bell, then I took in KFC when they PepsiCo spun off the restaurant companies. So at the end of that, I had about 1,300 sedans that I was responsible for. And after getting into trucks and upfit and medium duties and service bodies, man, do I wish I was back in a sedan fleet. It's become challenging with all of the changes over the years. That's just where I started.
So let's continue, and we're going to take a trip down memory lane a little bit. You've had a really impactful career, and a lot has changed since you've started. So in reflecting back, what are some of the most significant changes that you've seen in the fleet management industry?
Oh, it goes so far back, most of it I can't remember. The biggest changes, of course, recently have been the government, state mandates, regulations, changes in IRP regulations, and just the red tape and the mandates. This has created, for someone like me who's always been pretty much a department of one, that creates the necessity of leaning more on our fleet management companies. We rely on them to be the experts. But I would say that's been the biggest changes since I have gotten into bigger specifications on my fleets and trucks and crossing state lines. And that's been the biggest.
So with experience and with all of this time, definitely comes a few challenges. What's a challenge that you recall really facing that you think, newer veteran fleet managers might learn something from how you overcame it?
One of the biggest things that was a huge impact, and it was early in my career with those sedans, was when I first dug into fuel purchasing. Fuel then was quite expensive. And with more expensive fuel comes the opportunity for fraud. So we dug into the transactions, multiple transactions, and another big one was premium fuels. When you're driving a 4-cylinder vehicle and your drivers think they need to put premium fuel in that vehicle, it's a waste of money and hard on the engine. So that after monitoring and identifying and communicating to the field, we dropped our premium fuel was at 25%, which was just ridiculous. So we dropped that to 4 to 5%. And 4 to 5% could be somebody picking up the wrong handle at the gas station. So that was, $1 million in savings just for that 12 months. So
Wow.
it's sometimes it's things that you don't think about. Oh, well, that's not going to be that much. But when you've got a big fleet and they're putting premium fuel, especially today, it adds up.
Yeah, no, a small amount over even a small fleet adds up a
Yeah,
lot. You multiply that by hundreds and thousands, it really starts out. That's a huge savings.
yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, with experience, we hope comes wisdom. It's one of the hopes that we have in our careers, and you've definitely gathered a lot of it in the conversations I've had with you over the years. I want to kind of get into some of those takeaways that have really stuck with you. So, what would you say are some of the more important lessons that you've learned in managing a fleet that you think are really crucial for new fleet managers to understand?
When you think about it, I call my fleet, I call my drivers all my children, and they don't know what they don't know. And just saying, no, we can't do that, they don't understand why. So it's communication, just like everything else in the corporate world. It's communicating the why and the open end versus back in but closed end. They don't know what how our leases are written. They think it's just like a retail lease. They don't understand that no, our maintenance is not covered in that lease. And yes, a company vehicle does require periodic maintenance to keep that engine running. Hey, it's just like your truck at home, guys. You got to change the oil, but it's getting down to the nitty gritty and explaining the why, not just being the mom that says no.
I love that comparison. That's fantastic. If you could go back in time to when you first started out in fleet, what is something you wish you had known when you first started?
Oh, be more confident. You, if you're coming into it and you really don't know what's going on, like I did back in the day, or when I got into the truck fleets, ask questions. And then when you get those answers, be more confident in your own company with your answers. When they say why, give them the reason, but give it with confidence. And don't be afraid to ask questions. That's huge. I think everybody in the fleet world knows my stories when I started, and I was with Pizza Hut, and I called Sue Miller at McDonald's and asked for her policy. Never talked to the woman a day in my life. And she's like, sure, here you go. Just ask somebody. They may not know, but I guarantee they may say, but call so and so. I bet they know. So that's the biggest thing I would come from that. Be confident and ask questions.
And I mean, in our industry, like you noted, people are willing to share. They want to help. They were in your spot. They understand where you're
That's
coming from. And they just want to help everybody out. We're all in it together at the end of the day.
yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, we kind of talked a little bit about some advice and understanding, the nitty gritty. From your perspective, are there any rookie mistakes that you're seeing new fleet managers making that you really think they should be steering clear of?
Oh gosh, I looked at this and I'm the new people coming in are pretty darn smart. Um, Michaela Baldwin, she hasn't been in it very long, but man, she's taken off and run with this stuff. She's really enjoying it. Don't be afraid of it. You may not know what a 16-foot box goes on a wheelbase of whatever. Don't be afraid of it. There's somebody else out there that's made the same mistakes and that can help you.
I love it. And I mean, Michaela, she's one of our editorial advisory board members. And I think that for those of you who are just starting out, reach out and offer your perspective. Just because you haven't been doing it for 10 or 15 years doesn't mean you have incredibly valid information and input to be giving. I think it was Dania Rich Spencer who was on a panel with me a few years ago, and she told me the term reverse mentoring. And it was getting the information from the younger generation and learning from them the technology, the new ways of doing things, and always looking at educating yourself, not just passing on the knowledge, but learning from others as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if somebody asks you to be on a panel, to be on a board, to have some feedback, do it. Your company will think it's fabulous, and it is good for you. The one of the panels I'm on now, or the boards, has Ernie Garcia, and he's a landscape person. And no matter what I throw out there, he's got a perspective, even though our fleets are totally different. To- there is some stuff to be gleaned from like fleets and unlike fleets.
I love it. Let's talk shop for a second. So, fleet is part art, part science. And I think, over the time, you've definitely seen what works and what doesn't. Thinking about what's worked really well, what practices or innovations have you found to be the most effective in managing a successful fleet?
Oh, you can go into different realms, and I think the telematics, of course, has really helped in safety, in the maintenance of the vehicles, the mileage management. Those guys don't put the right mileage in when they fill up their trucks. So the telematics has helped in that, to know exactly what the mileage is. We don't use it for tracking the vehicles on a daily basis. It's Nobody has time for that. That's the only downfall, is there is so much data in the telematics world that you don't have time to look at everything. But it has been, I think, probably the most helpful.
So that connects really well to the next part. It's technology. It has come a really long way, and I find it really interesting not to I put a date on the experience of others that I've talked to on this series, but when I talk about what's changed the most, probably the number one answer I've got from others has been computers, has been actually using computers and not just writing things down, going from file systems to,
Right.
documented items. So, in your experience with technology, how do you think it's changing fleet management, and what advancements, aside from telematics, have you seen to be the most game changing?
Well, I'm still old school. I still write down a lot of stuff because that's the way my brain works. And people your age and those that are coming into this are a lot more tech savvy. Um, I am not an Excel guru. I'm still learning stuff in Excel. And I've done some chat GPT assistance, but sometimes you just don't have time to dig in and see. Like I said a minute ago, I don't know what I don't know. So there'll be times when I go, oh, I mean, my kids, my son in law, they're all tech savvy. And they'll say, well, Lisa, you can do XYZ. And I go, oh, okay. And I'm sure it's helping with right sizing your fleet and safety and cost savings. And it is big data. There's a lot of stuff out there that is on this little thing that we call our laptop, and that we have access to. And it's just a huge challenge to get into everything when you I've always said, every job I've had, I've always been wanted to be more strategic and less administrative. But the administrative stuff gets first priority. You've got a guy stuck on the side of the road. You got to figure out how to move him off the Oklahoma Turnpike, which doesn't allow all wreckers. There's challenges every single day that sometimes I've never heard of, but those take priority.
Yeah, I remember reading once, you have, two buckets of things. You have things that are important and things that are urgent, and the urgent things are almost never important. And the important things are almost never urgent enough. And it's a definite challenge to try to figure out, but those urgent items, they always are the ones that take priority, even if they're
Yep,
not the
it's
most
a
important.
vicious circle.
Yep.
But I also said with every company I've been in, we're not curing cancer. It will be there tomorrow. Step back, take a breath, and figure it out.
Yep.
But it's not like we're in surgery or in neonatal saving babies.
Right. We're doing important stuff, but at the same time, absolutely. Yeah. So, running a fleet's one thing, leading a team can be a completely different thing. Human beings versus vehicles. When we're working through the ups and the downs, it can be a big challenge. What strategies have you found to build and lead a successful team that's working with you?
Well, since I've never had one, I literally have never had a team, ever. In 30 years, I've always been a department of one. So here's the thing. I have no one to blame but myself, and I have no one to share the decisions but myself. Kind of goes, there's one guy said to me, and I was remote even back in the early 2000s because my department that I rolled up to was in Louisville, Kentucky. I was in Dallas. And my friend John said, Lisa, there's two things about your job. You work away. You don't have a boss in Dallas and nobody knows what you do. The bad thing about your job is you don't have a boss in Dallas and nobody knows what you do. So, I kind of gotten used to my anonymity.
Well, in our industry, you're far from anonymous, that's for sure. Let's wrap up a little bit with looking ahead. So fleet's always evolving. What advice would you give to new entrants into the fleet management industry? People who are either looking to join or have just joined, beyond anything that you've shared so far?
It's a great industry. I can't say that I haven't enjoyed it. We get to meet great people. We get to hear great speakers. We get to talk to people across the country every day. From our customers within our companies to our peers to leaders of companies. So it's not it's not something to be afraid of. It's a great field. It's a great networking industry. Somebody's already dealt with the issues that you've dealt with. Again, ask the questions. We get to go to great places and learn things and talk to people that we never would have met had we not been in this industry.
Well, with that absolutely positive ending, thank you, beyond thank you, for sharing your journey and all of the lessons that you've learned along the way, Lisa. So it's stories like this that remind us how much this industry is built on real people, real challenges, and real wins. For everyone tuning in, we hope you're walking away with some inspiration and practical tips to carry into your own fleet journey. If you've got thoughts on the episode, drop them in the comments. Know someone else with a legendary story? Tell us who you want to see featured next. This is just one of many conversations we've got lined up. So stay connected, stay curious, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Fleet Legends.